So I'm here with Stephen Kopcha, Professor Emeritus of the Missouri School of Journalism and a legend in the advertising community. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
So you are a graduate of MU.
Yes, I am.
What types of things did you learn when you were here that helped you in your career later on?
Well, you know, it used to be very fashionable for people to say, hey, when you get out of school and get your first job, first thing you do is forget everything you learned in school. It's not true in this case. I learned how to do advertising and then spent the next 30 years doing it. And I was prepared, as I think I wanted all my students to be, ready on day one.
What was it about advertising specifically that caught your interest?
I came to Mizzou fortuitously for the simple fact that it was a state university, and that's what you did. You went to the state university. And I really was never interested in being a reporter or anything like that, but then I saw one big department, advertising. From that moment on, it was like I at last had come home. I found it fun, easy, and enjoyable. So I thought maybe I'm good at this and maybe I ought to pursue this. And that's what I did.
After you graduated, you went into the Navy and then worked for Monsanto's communications department or advertising department at the time. What was that like?
Well, when I graduated, I had exactly one job offer, and it was from my uncle, Uncle Sam. And I decided to join the Navy instead and become an officer. So I went to Navy OCS in Newport, Rhode Island. And after 4 years in the Navy, I wanted to try this advertising deal that I went to Mizzou for.
So then you went to Monsanto.
Anybody from St. Louis knows that Monsanto's an old line St. Louis company, an interesting company, and I believe a good company. And the best part was I was learning new things every day. So I have since discovered that I'm happiest when I'm learning new things. I like to learn. And I guess that's why I like to teach so many years later, because, you know, he who teaches learns twice. I loved Monsanto, and I would have stayed there happily, but I had this desire to work at a big-time ad agency, and of course, Darcy Advertising in St. Louis was agency for Anheuser-Busch and others. I went to work in the Budweiser group for a great guy who more or less said to me, "You do it." Well, it turned out that was his way of forcing me to learn things on my own, so it just couldn't have been better. But then my career took a break, and I went up to Detroit and worked on General Motors. And that was a whole nother learning experience. So I've often said to myself, boy, I'm glad I turned this way instead of that way, or this way instead of that way, because everything has worked out just fine.
From Detroit, where did you go next?
Oh, I retired. And I bought a farm here in Missouri, and I just loved it. And I came home one day from, you know, running my fence line and find my wife in tears, and it turned out she hated it. And I hated every minute of living out on this farm. So I said, well, we don't have to stay here. We'll go back to Detroit, which was where we liked it the best. And so we did, and I went to work for McCann Erickson up there on Buick. That was another experience. I'd worked there for 4 or 5 years, then I retired again, and this time went to Santa Fe. And I got a call from the J School here, my predecessor, and he said, hey, Steve, you know anybody that would like to come teach advertising at the J School? I said, yeah, I know a guy, me. So I came, applied, got the job, and so the next 10 years I taught here.
What do you think are some of the key traits that someone who would want to get into advertising needs in order to be successful?
So you got to be able to change directions quickly. You got to find the magic combination of pleasing the people who hire you, the clients, and yourself. It's not the selling of art, it's the art of selling. And you just have to find peace with that.